The topic of enzymes in human health has become increasingly important because medical researchers have come to realize that almost every chronic health condition we know of, including things like cardiovascular disease, arthritis, fibromyalgia, and even cancer, is caused by or made worse by enzyme deficiency. What this means is that you're healthy when you have all the right enzymes, and you're not healthy when you don't. What's important for you to know is exactly what enzymes are and how your health depends on them, and also what goes wrong when you don't make enough of the certain key types of enzymes I'm going to focus on, and what you can do to prevent or reverse bad health when you become enzyme deficient. So what exactly are enzymes? The simplest definition is that they are protein molecules that make every single biochemical reaction in your body work. Scientists believe that you can make about 3,000 different enzymes. Some of them are important for putting things together. For example, whenever you make new DNA, cell membranes, hormones, hemoglobin, anything that builds tissues and organs, all of these depend on biochemical reactions that are driven by enzymes. Likewise, whenever cells get too old or tissue becomes damaged or your body demands energy from stored fat, still other enzymes come in and break things down for recycling, excretion, elimination, or energy. You probably already know about certain kinds of enzymes that break things down because these are the digestive enzymes. They include enzymes that break down food you eat so you can absorb nutrition from it. These consist of enzymes that break down carbohydrates or fats or proteins. The enzymes that I mentioned before that lead to so many kinds of chronic health problems when you don't make enough of them are called systemic enzymes as opposed to digestive enzymes because they work throughout all of your body's systems. The most important of the systemic enzymes that I'm going to focus on are the ones that break down proteins. Now, it may seem silly that you make enzymes that circulate all through your body, breaking down protein, since protein is a main component of what you're made of. There is one particular protein that you can make too much of, though, and when that happens, it can lead to health disasters of all kinds. This protein is called fibrin, so we're going to focus on fibrin. Now, fibrin is not an evil protein. In fact, it's important for building the structure of tissues and organs, and it also has an important role in healing. The problems with fibrin start when you make too much of it. For example, when you get a cut, your body goes into immediate action to repair it by sending in fibrin to start the healing process. Fibrin works by forming a network of protein fibers that acts as a foundation for building new tissue. When just the right amount of fibrin is laid down, you'll get a small, soft, flexible scar. If too much fibrin is laid down, the scar will be bigger and harder and less flexible. This is where your own enzymes for breaking out protein come in handy, because they will remove any extra fibrin and make sure you don't get too much of a scar. This is the way your repair system is supposed to work, and that's what it generally does when you're young. When you get older, starting at about age 25, your ability to make the enzymes that break down fibrin starts to slow down. This trend means that the older you get, the bigger and tougher your scars will be whenever you injure yourself. One of the big problems is that scar tissue can continue to grow, especially after surgery in the abdominal area. It often happens that a year or two after surgery, scars will be so big that another surgery will be required to cut it out again, and this can happen over and over. So the main health issue with fibrin is where else can excess fibrin cause trouble. What happens when you get a cut can happen anywhere that you have any kind of tissue damage. One of the most common places for internal damage is in your arteries. When the wall of the artery gets damaged by an oxygen radical or some other kind of inflammation, fibrin starts to build a little foundation network that new tissue can build onto. This is just like when you get a cut and the repair mechanism starts to work there too. However, if you don't have enough protein digesting enzyme to keep the fibrin under control, it just keeps getting bigger and bigger until little particles in your bloodstream start to bump into it and get stuck. When these little particles are made of cholesterol and calcium, they seem to attract more cholesterol and more calcium. When this continues long enough, you will eventually have a clog that is made up mostly of calcium and cholesterol. Keep in mind that cholesterol didn't start the problem. The problem started with inflammation that led to the formation of too much fibrin. As I already mentioned, fibrin is an important protein throughout your body. When you make too much in your kidneys, it plugs up the tubules, which causes blood pressure to go up. When you make too much in your muscles, it becomes a clinical condition that is called fibromyalgia. In fact, too much fibrin is at the root of fibrocystic breast disease, uterine fibroids, ovarian cysts, and endometriosis. Fibrin clogs up all organs as you get older, which leads to organ failure. It holds blood cells together until they form visible clots. It holds cancer cells together during the growth of tumors. And when you work out really hard, really exercise hard, and cause little tears and inflammation in your muscle tissue, fibrin overgrowth can slow down the growth of your muscles and decrease the flexibility. All these health and fitness problems start when you build too much fibrin. And this happens because you don't make enough of the enzymes that you need to break down the extra fibrin. So that's enough about the bad news of fibrin. What about the good news? The good news is that research in Germany and Japan and other countries going back more than 50 years shows that you can stop the formation of excess fibrin and even eliminate it wherever it occurs by taking certain kinds of systemic enzymes as dietary supplements. What this research shows is that you can absorb fibrinolytic enzymes, meaning those that break down fibrin, into your bloodstream from your digestive system, and that these fibrinolytic enzymes will go to wherever you have too much fibrin and just start chewing it up. The results for human health are nothing short of amazing. Blood pressure drops, arteries unclog, blood clots dissolve, all the fibroid diseases disappear, tumors shrink, recovery from the stress of hard workouts speeds up so that strength and flexibility improve faster. And consider this, since fibrin clogs up organs, causing them to harden and shrink and eventually fail, fibrinolytic enzymes will restore the soft tissue and keep organs soft, full-sized, and fully functional much longer. What this means is that systemic enzymes, fibrinolytic enzymes in particular, are one of the truly fantastic anti-aging supplements, in my opinion. In fact, they're the best anti-aging supplements that I have ever found. In addition to the ability of fibrinolytic enzymes to address all of the health problems that arise from too much fibrin, they can also digest renegade proteins that you make in your immune system. This is especially important when immune protein complexes build up in your joints and cause arthritis. Fibrinolytic enzymes destroy these complexes and provide relief from the pain and swelling of arthritis. One of the added bonuses of fibrinolytic enzymes is that they also destroy the protein coat of viruses as well as proteins in the membranes of infectious bacteria. This is how these enzymes provide an extra defense against viral and bacterial diseases as well. Finally, certain systemic enzymes have a direct anti-inflammatory effect. So even before fibrin starts to form whenever inflammation occurs, enzymes are Johnny on the spot to reduce the inflammation before it can even get out of hand. This action of systemic enzymes is so well established in Germany and other European countries that massive doses are often used as the first step in treating major injuries caused by car accidents and other medical emergencies. So now you know why enzymes are so important for good health and what happens when you don't make enough of the right ones, and that you can make up for that by taking systemic enzymes whenever you have an enzyme deficiency as you get older. The remaining questions that I want to answer for you are, what are the best enzymes for supplementation, and how can you evaluate products so that you can choose the best one for you? The first enzyme that I want to talk about is called serrapeptase. It comes from bacteria that live in the gut of the silkworm moth caterpillar. The role of serrapeptase in nature is to digest away the silk cocoon when the adult moth is ready to emerge. This means that serrapeptase is so powerful that it can break down silk, which is one of the strongest proteins found in nature. The next enzyme is called nattokinase. It also comes from bacteria, in this case from bacteria that are used for making a soybean curd called natto. Research on nattokinase shows it to have a very strong anti-clotting action and can break down any junk or debris that might be floating around in your blood. The importance of this is that it acts like a blood cleanser. Nattokinase therefore cleanses unhealthy blood, and the effect is that it'll take blood flow, which is often the consistency of ketchup, and get it flowing freely again like it's supposed to. Bromelain is another powerful protein digesting enzyme that provides a number of extra benefits besides digesting fibrin, and these include inhibiting platelet aggregation. Those are when cells aggregate together and cause clots. Bromelain also has an effect on fibrinolytic activity and enhanced wound healing, and it has an effect on enhancing cardiovascular system and circulation. It's extracted from the stem of pineapples, and unlike most enzymes, bromelain is active in the acidic environment of the stomach and in the alkaline environment of the small intestine. The other enzyme I want to mention from plants is called papain. This is a protein digesting enzyme from papaya. It's capable of cleaving and splicing proteins into free-form amino acids, which means they are necessary for many biochemical reactions in the body. Papain may also be useful in the elimination of parasites in the gastrointestinal tract by simply digesting them. Papain has acquired the reputation of being selectively able to digest dead tissue without affecting the surrounding live tissue. And finally, papain is one of those enzymes that comes to the rescue to clean out dead cellular material. One more complex of protein digesting enzymes is referred to as protease. This is actually a mixture of protein digesting enzymes that also plays a pivotal role in regulating how enzymes are made, the digestion and growth and maturation of all organisms, by regulating the physiological processes that control the activation and the synthesis and the turnover of proteins. So you can see there's plenty of good news involving systemic enzymes, and when we summarize and just think about the things that I mentioned, we have a long list of benefits that simply come from digesting fibrin. In addition, systemic enzymes cleanse the blood, keep the blood flow going. They reduce bacteria and viral load. They can eliminate autoimmune diseases that are caused by circulating protein complexes. And finally, they can reduce inflammation directly. So as you see, systemic enzymes are turning out to be, based on research in other countries and now application in current medical research in the U.S., shows that this is one of the most important dietary supplements that you can take on a daily basis. Now, I did mention I'd also tell you something about how to evaluate different products. And this is where it's important to understand what the activity of enzymes is and what they do, because fibrinolytic enzymes are measured by the number of what's called fibrinolytic units. Now, you can look at different products and talk about what kinds of fibrinolytic activity they have by just looking at the label and getting a number for what the fibrinolytic unit value is. So when you look at different products, look and make sure that they compare one to another. And don't be surprised that some of the products that you'll find on the shelf in your nutrition stores don't have any number whatsoever, so there's no way to evaluate them. So make sure that any mix that you're going to use as a dietary supplement contains all the basic enzymes that I mentioned already, the serrapeptase, nattokinase, bromelain, papain, and protease, and that you can get the highest fibrinolytic unit value that you can, so you make sure that these are as active as possible. The other thing I want to talk about is what I call cofactors, because depending on what mixture these enzymes are in, the cofactors will enable them to either be absorbed or be active or be in some way better because of how the enzymes act in the presence of these cofactors to enhance their activity. I'm talking about things like antioxidants that will also reduce inflammation and aid the activity of the enzymes that are anti-inflammatory. The kinds of things that are cofactors that I'd look for in a product include things like alpha-lipoic acid, which is one of the most important and powerful antioxidants as dietary supplements that you can find. This exists as both a fat and water-soluble form, so it enables it to function in a lot of different ways that provide you with protection against oxidative damage due to free radicals, so that'll help the enzymes by actually preventing some of the oxidation that they're out there to repair anyway. In addition, alpha-lipoic acid also promotes a healthy liver function, so that helps detoxification when enzymes digesting things away that need to be detoxified and eliminated from the system in the first place. Another cofactor, or what I might call a catalyst or coenzyme, is one called coenzyme Q10, or ubiquinone. This is a unique and vitamin-like substance. Actually, every cell in our body makes it. However, sometimes we don't make quite enough. It's a fat-soluble one, so that it absorbs through the fat-soluble part of the membranes in every cell of your body, and it serves as a coenzyme for all kinds of enzymatic steps in the process of digesting and eating away proteins that we don't need, especially fibrin. Clinical research also suggests that CoQ10 decreases the proliferation of free radicals, so it also has an antioxidant or anti-inflammatory activity, which supports the healthy immune system and the action of these systemic enzymes. Finally, it'll stimulate metabolism and aid your body in converting the energy of food that you digest into the essential production of the energy molecules that makes all your cells work. Finally, I want to talk about quercetin. Quercetin is a molecule that's in a class of chemicals called flavonoids, and I love to talk about flavonoids. I've been studying flavonoids for more than 35 years. Quercetin is actually one of those flavonoids, which is a very, very powerful water-soluble pigment from plants that acts as an antioxidant when we take it as a dietary supplement. Flavonoids are most commonly known for their antioxidant activity, as a matter of fact, and I think, in my opinion, I'm partial to flavonoids. Every single dietary supplement on the shelf of a nutrition store should include flavonoids of some kind. So anyway, quercetin has a demonstrated significant anti-inflammatory activity because it inhibits several processes of inflammation. For example, the release of histamine and other allergic and inflammatory mediators that cause problems during allergies. One of the most important properties of quercetin that's been well demonstrated in research is that it protects the oxidation of LDL cholesterol. This is kind of a personal vendetta of mine to tell people that there is no such thing as bad cholesterol, only cholesterol that's been oxidized. So LDL cholesterol is important for your body. You have to function, have to have it to function, you have to have it to live. So quercetin is one of those substances that makes sure that your body doesn't oxidize it and make it dangerous. It's dangerous only when it's oxidized. And finally, look for something that helps everything absorb better. Methylsulfonylmethane, that's one of those things that chemists abbreviate as MSM, does two things. It helps things absorb better, enzymes and cofactors and the catalysts and so forth, the antioxidants I've already mentioned. However, it also provides a source of organic sulfur. Enzymes turn out, a lot of enzymes require sulfur to make them active, and MSM is one of those substances that we include in our dietary supplements that will provide a source of organic sulfur. So the mixture I'm talking about now, it's just to review, if you find everything in one product, and in fact there are products like that we're looking for, the enzyme blend of serrapeptase, nattokinase, bromelain, papain, and protease with the catalysts or cofactors like alpha-lipoic acid, coenzyme Q10, quercetin, and MSM. There's only one product line that I know of that has all these features in one particular supplement, and that's a product made by a company called Landis Revin, and the name of the product is called Trevinol. So I want to talk a little bit about what the advantages of Trevinol are compared to products that I've evaluated from other companies. Now, there are a lot of enzyme formulations, a lot of systemic enzymes you'll find in nutrition stores. The main thing about Trevinol is that it says how active it is on the label. It gives you the exact number of fibrinolytic units that you can expect out of this product. And in comparison, it has about 20,000 fibrinolytic units per serving, which means that it's much more than most of the products. You can get as low as 3,000 fibrinolytic units on some products. You actually have some products that don't have any label whatsoever, so you don't even know what you're getting. The Trevinol is developed clinically, so it doesn't have any fillers or excipients or any of the junk in there, so it provides 60,000 fibrinolytic units on a daily basis. That is 20,000 per capsule. So this is some of the most potent fibrin digesting activity that's available in any particular product. The other thing that's important about Trevinol, I think, is that it has all of the cofactors that I mentioned. It has alpha-lipoic acid and MSM. It has coenzyme Q10. It has quercetin. And then one more thing I haven't mentioned that the people at Trevinol have thrown in, and that is it has what I call a probiotic bacterial complement. Now, it's important for your bacteria in your system to be enhanced by probiotics. That means bacteria that you take in a dietary form, because these will enhance the absorption of all the nutrition that you take on a daily basis, including supplements. So Trevinol has taken the trouble to include some probiotic bacteria in the product, which enables the substances in the product to be absorbed a little bit better and activated a little bit better, so that the benefits to you are as great as possible. Now you know the basic information about the importance of enzymes in your health and systemic enzymes as dietary supplements for almost every chronic disorder that you can imagine, including aging. Then my recommendation is that Trevinol is the best product that I found on the market, so I suggest that you simply do what I do and take Trevinol every day as part of your normal supplementation regime. Thanks for listening.